Good evening. After more than 4 decades, one of the nation's most wanted men is behind bars tonight.
News 13's Bella Olage sat down with the FBI special agent in charge who tells us how they finally caught him. She's live in the Newsplex to explain.
Walter Lee Kaufman died at the age of 22 in Arkansas, but his name lived on, just not in the way you would expect. Stephen Craig Campbell is accused of stealing Kaufman's identity by using his name and information on passports, driver's licenses, and a social security card for over 40 years until he was found right here in New Mexico.
I'm assuming at some point he probably started forgetting that he was who he was and he did what he did.
That's FBI Special Agent in Charge Raul Bujanda talking about 76-year-old Stephen Craig Campbell, who's accused of taking on a different name for over 40 years.
At the end of the day, so it was identity theft is really what we were looking at.
Walter Lee Kaufman, a man officials believe went to the University of Arkansas alongside Campbell, died at the age of 22 in 1975. Campbell is suspected of applying for a passport under Kaufman's name in 1984 and renewing it several times with a photo of himself and his current address. Law enforcement says he requested a replacement Social Security card in 1995, this time with an Oklahoma license.
If this were to happen today, likelihood of someone being able to go 40 years from today to evade law enforcement, I say that opportunity or that chance is slim to none.
The lack of technology at that time, Bujanda says, worked in Campbell's favor. In 2003, Campbell relocated to Weed, New Mexico, where he purchased property and has lived ever since.
He picked a location where he would not be found easily.
One of the burning questions in this case is, how did he get away with it for so long?
Right, and I think a lot of it is because from we learned through the investigation is he stayed in his home quite a bit.
This scheme was flagged by officials after his visit to the MVD in 2019. Through facial recognition, agents were able to tie him to his real name and an outstanding warrant for attempted first-degree murder in Wyoming.
And the reality is that you're not going to get away with a crime, especially of this nature. Even if it is 40 years later, we will find you.
Campbell has been on the U.S. Marshal's wanted list since 1983. That's when he failed to show up to court. He's accused of creating a bomb and planting it at his estranged wife's boyfriend's house. The device exploded, injuring his wife and setting fire to the building. Agents and local law enforcement kept that in mind when approaching his home on February 19th. When they arrived, Campbell was armed.
He came out ready for a fight.
Law enforcement found 57 firearms and large quantities of ammunition at his property. Campbell ultimately surrendered.
Had he seen like a smaller presence, he might have fought.
Bujanda says this arrest was a win for New Mexico.
And for the crime that they committed and the crimes that they intended even maybe to commit on that same day, this is the type of individual that needs to be outside of our state.
The FBI does not know how the original Walter Lee Kaufman died. They suspect Campbell received approximately $140,000 in U.S. government funds through Social Security in Kaufman's name. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Bella. Campbell is charged with passport fraud, but Bujanda says more charges could be added for the firearms found on his property.